Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I may have just seen all of you on the other link when I did my Lucas Bouchard fireside chats. So here we are together again, and we're going to talk about everything that everyone in this episode. And I'm here to hear all the cool things that you have to say. So before we get started, I want to see who's saying what. I like to comment that I saw all the way up here. And let's talk about this. All right, Arlene. Arlene's saying, good evening, everyone. I'm getting dream vibes. People, are we watching a season through someone's dream or coma? Why else are we seeing repeated scenes and references to fraud and Alice in Wonderland? Arlene, Ar- Arlene, you have a wonderful way with words. So I got to make sure I'm reading this right. Are you like being sarcastic? I don't mean in a bad way. Are you being sarcastic and funny? Or are you really serious, actually thinking that because there's references to Alice in Wonderland and fraud that Freud, that it is a dream? No, I don't think it's a dream. And can you tell me which episodes are being repeated? I mean, like in this episode, did we see things repeated? I don't know if we saw it in here. I know there's some things that we did, but you know what? There's only so many storylines in life. There's only so many tropes. And often, like, especially when we have like a Hallmark movie, there's so many things that are similar. And this is true when the actors say, but the characters are slightly different. And what they bring to that storyline makes it a little different. I don't know. Hi, everyone. Back here with Roxanne and y'all. Looking forward to a great conversation tonight. Yes, me too. I'm here. You're all here. Yay. We saw Toby's mom and found out his last name. That wasn't the first time we saw her. This is like the third time that we've seen her. And yes, we found out her last name. Can we talk about that? So when I was teasing the on the When Calls the Heart on Hallmark page, I said one, Nathan and Elizabeth fans will love this episode. We'll talk about that. Lee and Gwen will melt your heart. We're going to talk about that. Some of the OG Lucas returns. We're going to talk about that. And Henry and Christopher just may cause a few tears. We're talking about that. But let's go to this one. A storyline concludes. It's a happy ending, right? Okay. The storyline that concluded was the boys are not guilty, and I love that. And one of the things is when they go to give that news, Nathan and Bill, and then they gather around, I love how Bill gets right in the middle of Toby and his mom, and they're hugging together. I don't know, that was such a like a melted my heart scene, because those boys were owning up to what they thought they did. They're wonderful boys. If they were my neighbors, I would think that they were a blessing and that God put them next door to me, because those kids and the way that, they're owning up to who they are is such a beautiful message for all of us. Like, and I love the conversation that Henry has with Joseph, where Joseph doesn't realize that Henry's talking about his own son, and Joseph talks about his son. And he's like, what do you do? Like Henry says, what do you do when something is like a horrible thing that your loved one does? And he's like, no matter what, I stand next to him. Sometimes that's all they need. Standing next to them is all that they need. And that's the blessing in itself. Not that you're like, yay, okay, you did this, you could do no wrong. I'm going to help you face whatever it is that you did. I love that conversation that those two had. And I like how Joseph and Minnie were like, all we can do is love them. And then those boys are okay. And they were so happy. I just love that. I'm going to see what everyone is saying here. Hold on. What's with the hand on heart with the guys? I'm not sure. What's with the hand on the heart with the guys? I'm not sure. We'll talk about lemon curd. I'm curious why Elizabeth no longer rides a horse. She just rides side saddle with Nathan. Started in season 12 and continues. I don't know. We'll get to that. I'm going to talk about a lot of you are saying things that I'm not going to cover yet, so I hope that you repeat them. I wanted to talk first about the boys and that storyline concluding. And the reason why it concludes is because it's connected to Christopher. And a lot of you wrote and said in the comments, you think that Christopher more or less kind of left those pieces in his trunk so he could get caught. And he kind of says that. So, very good for you. And we kind of knew that it's not him who actually caused the fire, but he had to clean it up. And it just got at him. The scenes um Henry and Christopher were really good. Those two actors are amazing, and they have a James. He goes by James Drew Dean. He wrote something beautiful. They show. I'm going to just show you on his Instagram account. I love how we get to see Henry's house, and it's the back of it, and how it's all lit up and all. This is what he wrote. I wanted to read it because it's nice. This is what Christopher, the actor, says, and he adds Martin. And he says, "Thanks for being such a great guy to work with and a moving part to get me back on set. I remember when you called me after you read this episode because you were really excited. I hope all the fans enjoyed this one as much as we did." And Martin responds and says, "I'm thrilled to be able to mix it up with you." Hmm. So they have like this wonderful respect for each other. It's a great scene. Anytime Martin does anything, I forget that he's acting. And I feel the same way with Christopher. I love how it's a hard, it's a hard thing that he has to do. And then he goes and he faces it, walks in and kind of interrupts with that polygraph thing was going on. The other thing that I liked is there was so much fun in this episode, but there was also some really major serious stuff. And I like when they play that off together. All right. A lot of you are talking about Elizabeth, and unfortunately, I just see it and then I'm going right by it because I'm trying to like focus on first the boys and then the scenes with Christopher and his father, Henry. I also put in there, I think it was Henry and Christopher just may cause a few tears. I don't know about you, but it made me a little tear up. Here's so we got, I think even though they were having a hard conversation, this is something that Henry and Christopher have long needed. Yes, a father son heart to heart with Henry showing unconditional love to his son. Yes, Margie, absolutely. And he kind of gets mad at him and he kind of says, something negative, and Henry's like, yeah, well, you're right, and they're able to get mad at each other without stomping off. They're able to, you hurt the one you love the most, like you're able to and but they talk it out, which is really good. Let's see. Such powerful and all the feel scenes with Henry in this episode. Yes. Yes. I do love with their relationship, what their relationship is now. Henry knows what it is to live with regret. I know. And he's not just such a sad, like sack of potatoes like he was. They made that repeat. Remember after he got it together and then he was upset again. We've gone away from that and he's more like, I'm going to be here for my son. And I like it. I like it a lot. Taking a step back to appreciate what you have. I'm not a big fan of Christopher, but the scenes with him and Henry were great. Yeah, because he came in as a jerky guy, right? And we're seeing him struggle to be something better, and then he kind of falls back on, and that happens, that you fall back. Everybody falls back after they take so many steps forward. And it's even worse when what you do is, like badder. I know that's not a word, badder, more bad than the average person. And he's got like a shady past, but he is stepping up to do the right thing. And I think he was upset because now how's that going to look for Rachel, right? Mm, yeah. Yes, not trading humanity for money. Yes, he is trying hard to to make Rachel proud of him. Yes, Nikki. You know how sometimes they say you made me a better man or you made me a better woman, and that is absolutely the case with what's going on with that storyline. And there is Henry right there. Yep, he wants Rachel's parents to approve of him. Yes, and we also saw Henry go through that with his love for Abigail, and I think we'll get some of that in season 14 because she is returning, which I'm actually looking forward to. The scene where Henry and Christopher in Henry's backyard says so much without saying a word. Carrie, it was fantastic how they zeroed in on them, having a drink together and they're sitting there. It was great. And the writing of that and the directing of that and of the acting of it, the whole thing was just it was really good. It was very good. Okay, well let's move on to so we Christopher turning himself in interrupts a very important part for the Nathan and Elizabeth fans and for their storyline. Let's see. Nice, not judge. Okay. Let's see. I'm just looking. I know people said something up here and I think I missed it. And yes, she is riding side saddle, and I'm not sure why. Maybe they fit better, the two of them, when they are riding together. Maybe it's easier for her to be side saddle on the horse with him. I don't know. And I noticed that not in this episode, but in the next, is it this one or the last? No, it was this episode. When they are side saddle, she's got a firm grip on she being Erin on the mane of that horse. The way she's sitting, go watch. She's holding on to the mane big time. I don't know. It could be, I don't know, because it's been going on before we know that she was pregnant. I am not sure how that works because even when they're filming, she's not really like, I don't know, physically, I don't know what the issue is. I don't get upset by it. I'm not sure what it is. It didn't bother me, but I guess it is a message. I don't know if it looks a little more romantic. I don't know. Not sure. I'm sure people in here will have some ideas and will share. So let's talk about Elizabeth and Lucas. Elizabeth and Nathan. So if I were someone who had been longing for that relationship and we got it, and we got so much with it and touchy feely giddiness last season, I'm like, what in the world happened this season? I know that they're acting a little bit more mature and they spent so much time together and lived in the same house together. I guess we're supposed to see that. But I don't like it when a couple loves each other. People say, oh, when you get older, the love changes. I don't like that. I like when people still have a fire for each other. And I'm not saying they have to act like they're teenagers, but they went and swung it the other way. So there they are sitting on that horse, having a moment, and her face is right next to his. What would have hurt if we got a little kiss there? I felt like it was natural. We should have gotten a kiss. We didn't. Okay, fine. All right. So now we get the whole teasing with her lemon curd, and we get that fun scene. Georgie's back, and Georgie and Bill are like a couple, but they're a hot mess together, right? And so they're funny. So there they are, kind of egging them on and teasing them, having a big family dinner, and how the whole he's lying. They could tell, the two of them could tell that he doesn't like her lemon curd, and she's like, what? So let's go calibrate and check out the polygraph, which was invented during that time and was great to make it to the town, right? What I love is that Nathan wants to put Ollie under the gun, and actually he does. And Kevin did a great job with the scene, with the facial expressions, the whole part where he touches it and he goes, don't touch it. And he goes, okay, all right. I forget what he said. He goes, no, that's a lie. Remember, he was just a hot mess. And we knew that this was going in that direction because we see how and we'll talk about diabetes, but how they snuck in subtly, Allie taking LJ to get his insulin, coming back out and saying, I wish you were my sister. No, you're coming to dinner forever. And we're like, okay. And so naturally he's like, about marrying my mother. And he's like, what? And then it gets interrupted. So now we get Elizabeth talking to Rosemary, and she's like, well, he should have said something. Now she's putting doubts in her mind. There's all of that. Again, that was a repetitive thing. And then he comes and knocks on her door and he says, I was too busy and I couldn't get there and I want to. And he says his little spiel. And he says, and I thought it was nice. What he says to her is, what I feel for you, what I want with you, and what I dream with you. Like, I want all of those things. It's just like, it's not like I haven't thought about marrying you. He doesn't say you haven't thought about it. But after he says all that beautiful stuff, they should have kissed and they still didn't kiss. She's standing there with tears in her eyes. And I'm like, why are you not kissing? Like, just even if it was just a kiss. Ay, ay, ay. They like, it gets on my nerves. I thought that was nice. And I kind of understand when you think about where he's coming from. And then you see more of it in the next episode. It's actually really nice. When they have their conversation, they got a lot going on. I know before, when Elizabeth fell in love with Jack, they didn't have a lot going on. And then when Elizabeth fell in love with Lucas, Lucas didn't have a lot going on, but Elizabeth had her son, okay? Still not the same. When these two are coming together, she's got a lot going on. She was married, husband died, had crazy feelings. If you think about this, if we're going to go with all of it, then she's got, her son, then and he's sick, and he has, diabetes. And it's not a sickness, I get it, but it is a health concern. Then we have him. He's a Mountie. He's obsessed with this whole case because he doesn't want the boys to be guilty. He's just trying to find what he can when he knows he should shut it down, and he knows he's letting his personal feelings get in on it. How objective is he being? It's something in his gut. And then he's like got Allie, and they're bringing their family together, and it's just like a conversation they haven't really had yet. So I get it. He's got a lot on his plate, and they haven't had the conversation, and they will. And that's what he's trying to tell her. It's not because I don't feel for you. Like, he makes her put her hand on his heart. It's not that I don't feel for you. It's not that I don't want it. And it's not that I don't dream about it. I do. And I was like, kudos to you writers for writing that. That was beautiful. Kevin did a really good job. Her hands on his heart and her lips should have been on his. Okay. All right. We're going to move on. Let's see what y'all had to say. I had a lot of hot air there. I heard Nathan call Mrs. Coming, aren't they supposed to be Greek? I don't know, Lillian. I got that idea. That was my impression of when Nathan calls her name, and I was like, oh, okay, it looks like they have Greek last name. Maybe. I agree. Let's see. Let's see. I do love what their relationship is now. Okay, I'm talking about Elizabeth and Nathan. I don't know if I see any people are agreeing. Trying hard to make great. Yes, okay. The scene, Henry. Hold on. I'm just going through. Here we go. Nathan doing the polygraph scene was hilarious. It was. He did a good job. But whenever there's hilarity to have in a subtle way, and the looks on his face, just like when McGinty was coming to talk about his cat, and the look on Bill and Nathan's faces, are like, oh, well, this is such an odd story that it's got to be true. They did a good job with it. Yes, I want that too. She I was holding tight. Okay. Poor Elizabeth and her lemon curd. I'm going to talk about that lemon curd. I am sorry. Okay, here we go. I am sorry, but watching Elizabeth and Nathan is as exciting as watching paint dry. Yes. Now, Avis, I had said this before. We know, because every time we come to this, the same people say the same thing. We get it. Some people don't find it interesting at all. We understand. But it's like the same type of comments that we get. And that's okay if those are your feelings. But there are people that do appreciate it and do like it. Okay. And the same with you, Nikki. They're boring. We know you feel that they're boring. Yes. I've always used lemon curd as a filling or a topping, never heard of eating it on its own. Me neither. And I looked it up, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm getting there. I'm just trying to find all my Nathan and Elizabeth stuff before I move on. Oh, here we go. Thank you. Okay, thank you for adding this in. I believe she rode side saddle last season too. In the past, she seemed like she really enjoyed riding on Jack's horse. I forgot his name at the moment. Yes, I know what you're saying. I don't know. It's just something they did. That's a good question about riding side saddle. It's one that I will put and park to the side. And if I ever do a junket again, or if I have the opportunity to ask, I will. Wouldn't it be fun if we had the Wranglers on? That would be fun. All right. They have no chemistry at all. They never kiss. It's boring. They used to kiss a lot before, and now in this season, it's not enough. And I feel weird because I feel like they keep missing opportunities. And I saw two really natural opportunities for them to kiss. Yep, and they do. That's what I said before too. That Lee and Rosemary often like do a little peck. I agree. Yes, 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 yes. Um, let's see. I agree there were a couple of scenes where Elizabeth and Nathan could have shared a kiss. However, it wasn't happening. And I find it a bit strange versus when she was in the relationship with Lucas. Yes. Oh, let's see. Let's see what they say here. Joy and David keep saying the characters are learning their true selves in more than one interview. Okay. Thank you, Arlene, for sharing that. Um, I believe Elizabeth also rode Side Saddle in season two, but she had always seemed to love riding Jack's horse Sergeant. Okay. We'll get to the lemon curd. Are Nathan and Elizabeth allergic to each other? Gosh, no. Of course they're not. They're in love. Let's see. Yeah. Wonder if that will be brought up, Mary. That's a good idea. Does Nathan have a model for a healthy marriage in his past? No. Maybe he and Elizabeth will both be happy not changing anything for a while. Maybe. Maybe they're just trying to get to know each other. Yes. Yes. Yes, he said we never really talked about it. Then he said, "Can we just leave it there for now?" He did, yes, but I understood why he did, Lillian. It seems like you think like seriously, and I get it because I feel like what they want, I get as a reader, as a watcher or viewer, is that we're supposed to feel he's overwhelmed, but he wants her to know, absolutely, I love you. And it's a big conversation. And you will see, I'm going to tease this. In the next episode, they take more steps. You'll find out some of the things that are weighing on his mind and his heart. And I found it to be a really nice scene. I thought it was a great scene. And I think they don't kiss again when they could have. But this is like a heartfelt scene that's happening. Yeah. Yeah. Judy, I want to talk about this. No matter how hard I try, I have never felt there was any chemistry between Elizabeth and Nathan. I just see a weird awkwardness. They're more like friends than lovers. We know we've said that many, many times. I don't think that they have a whole lot of chemistry. However, I can appreciate what they're bringing and writing into the storyline. Now imagine that you do see that you do feel that, and then they bring that into the storyline, that conversation. It's something that you would love as a fan. I appreciate it. And I like the direction that they're going in on, and there's more to come. And I think that more to come might have to do with um Jack's mom coming back into the scene. I think it might ignite something, and more feelings come about, and to put some things into action. I think they're dragging it out to make it feel like it's a slow burn, but it's like it's like getting to be those little ashy embers. We need a little more. Um yes, she did. Remember, she did write about that. She did. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Let's see. She is. She's very different. She's a different character. Yep. She even has a different appearance. All right. She didn't like the lemon curd either. Okay. The lemon curd, was just an avenue or a vehicle. They mentioned lemon curd a couple episodes before, and I latched onto it because I thought that was weird. And then she brings it up again. So, lemon curd is just a tool to get to the part where he didn't really like it. And maybe it was to show that even though it was something that he didn't like, he was not going to say it because, and he explains this, because she made it, because she made it. He's not gonna say anything because he appreciates the part of her just doing that for him, which is not very honest, and you could tell she doesn't want him to be that way. And if you remember when Elizabeth first started cooking, she was not good at all, and Jack kind of wouldn't tell the truth right away either when she made things for him, especially with the whole shepherd's pie. Remember Rosemary, and she had this kind of, Rosemary was always a good cook and Rosemary was mean, and they kind of had like this little battle of whose food was better, and poor Jack was stuck in the middle. Um, I think it was to show that, yeah, no, it's not my favorite, but you made it for me and I love you, so I appreciate it. I feel like there's more to come, and there is. Let's see, the lemon curd. Can we talk about the lemon curd? So lemon curd is normally something that you put on like a jelly to something, not eating it like a pudding. And I thought it was weird. And it's kind of like tart and strong and sweet. It's so good you want to eat it from the jar. But I looked it up because they're eating it like a pudding, and they said there you could, which is just not something I guess we know so much here in America. But getting back to the lemon curd, Lillian, this has to do with the diabetes story. So you're going to see me, and if you're writing wonderful things here, let me see before I go get away from Elizabeth and Nathan. Let's see what it says. I agree with many folks here saying that they can't feel N and E as a couple because that's exactly how I feel. In fact, I can't help but feel that I'm just watching Aaron and Kevin acting as a couple. Yes, we've established that. Every time I host a podcast, people say it. I get it. I know that you're saying that. I'm not going to address it anymore. I'm looking at the storyline itself. We know there are people that you're not going to change their mind no matter what we say. We get it, but we're still just going to move on. Um, it's not that there are no more junkets. There's this 1 week we lost. Then this is second week. I don't know where they're going with it. I think they may have needed a break, or they're looking to see who they want. I have no say in it. They just surprise me and say, woohoo. I usually know by now. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening or what's going on. We'll see. Um, Back to the lemon curd. Alrighty. So now, the diabetes storyline, I wish they didn't do it because it's it was extremely serious for that time. Yes, I know they had insulin, and no, it was not a cure-all, and most people only lived less than a year, and it was like a death sentence. Even with the insulin, you have to know how much insulin to give someone. You could give too much, you could give too little, right? And your diet is extremely important. Back then, that's they knew that. They knew about the diet. So, I remember asking Kevin if we would hear more about the diabetes in this season. They shouldn't just get rid of it, right? Little subtle things. And he said there would be subtle things like LJ going to get, like in this episode, his insulin shot. You could see him talking about that, or you see them taking it out and looking at it as it was coming in and reading the numbers on it and who it belongs to on the serial numbers, that kind of thing. But it should be controlled with diet, and they knew that. Muffins at Minnie's and lemon curd are things that he cannot have. And the writers should know that little LJ shouldn't have it. She shouldn't even be making it. And it shouldn't be something at a family dinner. If you wanted to do something special, make it for a scene that's just for them. But muffins, lemon curd, there was something else that they were eating. And I'm like, these are not things they could subtly say something like, I'm going to make you, I don't even fresh fruit, you have to be careful for whatever, and mention how that like it's better for LJ, something along those lines. And they're not. And it ticks me off because I have type 1 diabetics and type 2 diabetics in my family. I have type 1, which is what he is. And that's difficult to manage right now. And I feel like they're not doing a good job with that storyline. That is my beef for this episode. It's my only one besides Lucas being a little too giddy, which I didn't even get to in the here yet. So anyway, moving on. Lillian, I asked Bibi, okay. You asked him about it, yes, on X, but he talked all around the issue. It was so frustrating. Yeah, that's what people do when they're trying to evade something they don't want to talk about, right? Margie, I agree about the diabetes. Elizabeth doesn't act very concerned because Allie takes him to see Faith. I feel like they are trying to downplay it now, which makes me mad. Yes, Arlene. It's a dream then. LJ doesn't have diabetes. Robin, I agree. They need to keep the diabetes importance up versus just moving along with it as per the time period for sure. Okay. I agree about the diabetes because I'm diabetic. Yes. And Avis, they don't have to overdo it, right? They could do something like little touches of things. Like I said, throwing in an alternative dessert. I'm trying something new. What do you think? To Nathan, because it's better for LJ. And that would give him even more reason to pretend he liked it, right? And then to find out that he didn't. And I thought we could have done something like that, right? Um, let's see. Yes, Roxanne, you're so right about the diabetes storyline being skewed by the writers with the lemon curd and stuff. I'm ticked off by how the writing seems to take a serious medical condition too lightly. I know. I wish they wouldn't have done the diabetes arc either. I have a 10-year-old granddaughter that's diabetic, and it's still a difficult disease to deal with. And I noticed muffin and lemon curd. I know. And Chris, yeah, I agree with the diabetes storyline. And little Jack should be eating healthier snacks than desserts. Little Jack does not want to be called that right anymore, LJ. But what about Honey Bear? Really? Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, Honey Bear. I know that was funny. Like she's still saying that. Okay. So, and then the whole bee and honey thing that I'm sure I hope that they handle that right, because that was the other thing. I'm like, honey, are they going to make the kids eat honey or do something with honeycomb? That is so bad for my little LJ. All right, so that was just my beef. Those are my feelings about that. So let's talk about Gwen and Lee. I remember Kevin saying that, and that was directed by the fishing scene was directed by Peter DeLuise. I love that scene, and we didn't get to see her dad, but that's okay. Maybe it's a surprise for all of us or something, or maybe not. We're reading too much into it, but we do know that Lee saw him, so we know that he's not surprised by it. But that she was afraid to go, and I knew it was going to be because something had happened to her mom, and her mom got sick, and she equated the hospital with that, and it was such a tender moment between the two of them, and they're great together. She is one fantastic actress and doing a great job, and I love how, again, they're using, like they use the lemon curd as a tool, the polygraph as a tool. It's part of history they snuck in, but it's a tool, right? For other storylines, and how they're using Gwen coming in and what it's doing for Lee's storyline, and even with um Rosie's, and then together, because they've been together. They've had a lot of things that they've had to overcome. So you have to be like realistic in what they can do with their storylines. And I just love, love, love her with him, and then them in general. I really like it. Let's see what you have here. They did not have Splenda. You're correct. They have to limit all sugar and even honey at times. Yes, Avis. Did somebody say something and I missed it? You are correct. They did all of it. You are right. Yes, and you're correct. Even I had just said that a minute ago. I said even fruit because I was like trying to think of an alternative with dessert, but even fruit can be too much. You are correct. That's why I'm saying I wish they would just interject a little bit, right? Okay. I love the character of Gwen so much and her scenes with Lee. Me too. Yes. Yes, me too. I think they're great. I cannot wait to meet the father and see where this is going. Such a cute little relationship and she is fitting in with them and I like it. And I think there's more to come from when I was talking to Jada. She was saying that there's more scenes with the whole school and um maybe even some stuff is to come. It's not in season episode 7, but it's to come. She teased and said that we'll get to see Rupert make other connections. And I'm wondering, would that be with Opal? Hmm? Does it have to be a connection like that? Maybe it's like a friendship connection and not so much a, romantic connection. The lie detector was amazing. I thought that was funny. And we talked a little bit about that. If you weren't in my podcast earlier, and what are we looking at on time here? 8:30. Okay, cool. We're good with time. Lucas and Edie. I was saying I felt like Lucas was too giddy to have a new friend. I look at Fernando being the possibility in his mind as someone who got him, even in business as well as him, the man. They both like racing and they both like poker, and he was all excited. And then he was like, wah, wah. Oh, this is your guy. But I didn't see it as a jealousy or a threat. I saw it as just a tool to like move that storyline ahead. Okay, let's see what we got here. Yes, they do have a beautiful relationship. I love them together. Hi, Brian. I love the two as scene partners. I hope Gwen's dad moves. So do I in season 14. Me too. Me too. Gwen is really helping Lee come to terms with his own anxiety and helped him to move forward in life with Goldie and Rosemary. Yes, Robin. Yes, yes, yes. I'm I'm very curious as to where they're going with the Gwen storyline. Love the character. I know. Um, Going back to the thing with Lucas. The scene with Lucas realizing that Edie and Fernando were once engaged was hilarious. The looks on Lucas's face where he raised that eyebrow. Right. He's great. Chris is great with those facial expressions. Yes, he has a new boyfriend. Bill and Georgie reactions to the lie detector scenes were so funny. There was a lot of humor sprinkled in with the seriousness, right? I agree with you there. Science versus instinct. Maybe there are others who should take a polygraph. Yes. I love them when they were saying that. And Nikki, I loved Lucas's expression when he found out Fernando was the ex. Yes. So cute. So cute. So cute. Let's see. I think I covered everything that I had wanted to cover. Um, one of the other things is many know that I love Rosemary, and she kind of has taken a bit of a back seat in these scenes lately. And that's okay because she's powerful in the small parts that she has. But I loved when she was saying to Lee what Freud, I keep saying call him fraud. That's hilarious. What Freud thought. And Lee gets mad and he's talking about his fishing. And then she slams the book shut. And then she gets mad at him and she says, and I like when she does it because her voice changes. And she says, when you see the love of your life gasping for air, like, do you know what that did to me? I'm going to do whatever it takes, to keep you alive and safe. And then he kind of felt bad. Yeah. And I love it when she says it. When you see the love of your life. And I'm like, oh, I like that. Yes. Does Lucas become insecure about Fernando and pull away? Oh, these are your questions. Okay. So if I have missed, let's hold that thought. If I have missed anything that you wanted to talk about, now is the time. Oh, the term, I love when they have their own little language. When Gwen shares with Lee the bow delicious, it's so beautiful and delicious. That's so cute. And that's a word that the dad had and shared with her. Through her eyes, he seems like such a great man. I hope that if and when we get to meet the character, that it's not a lie, that he really is a great man, right? So cute. But that was the one thing that I wrote down that I loved. Okay. If you have a question, I've missed it, there's something you want to talk about, as long as we're not going to beat a dead horse, okay? And we're not going to talk about something like mean about the actors or anything like that. I'm open to it. But I wanted to tease some things to you. Let me tease first, and then you can ask me questions that I may or may not be able to answer, okay? So one of the things I wanted to tease, and I'll make this as a list on our When Calls the Heart page. Are you on that page? When Calls the Heart on Hallmark? It's a good one. Here we go. The entire community is seen. The only character that I don't remember seeing is Oliver. Everybody else has something going on. They have a part in something. Most of the storylines are these moments, and the moments are perfect. We see it's wonderful storyline with Faith. We see something great with Molly, the Yosts. Like I said in the other podcast, you'll get to see some horsing around, and not with your usual people that are on a horse. Fun stuff there. There is a change. I forgot to tell this in Lucas's style. We get to see Chris, the payoff of Chris has been working out, and so he says. So you're going to get to see that, and that's fun. All of the community, something beautiful with Joseph and Minnie. I don't know. Do you have a question for me? It's a good episode. It's just so good. There's a lot that goes on. Nathan and Elizabeth have a very good conversation, which kind of connects, and you'll kind of see why Nathan said what he said in this episode. Okay, here we go. What we got? It hit me weird that Fernando said, "I follow my heart's desires," almost like he has no sense of direction or purpose. Tumbleweed, right? And I think maybe Lucas kind of could see that. That's how he was at one point. I don't know. Interesting. Or maybe that's all the more why we know that he's not good for Edie, because she's rooted herself in Hope Valley. What do you got here? Edie picks men like Lucas. Elizabeth picks men similar to Jack, at least similar professions and service oriented. Maybe. What we get to see in Fernando in the next, we do see Fernando, he has not gone away. And what we get to see of Fernando in the next episode, I don't know if he seems more like Lucas. I want to say this. Fernando is not there for the Edie character. Fernando is there for the Lucas character. I'll tell you that. Okay. Let's see. Does Lucas become insecure about Fernando and pull away? It's too early to say that. It's just way too early to see that, but a little at a time, you see some stuff. Are we going to find out about what went wrong with Edie and Fernando in the next episode? No. 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 Anybody have anything else that they want to ask about anyone else? They really do some really cool things. I will tell you that Mike and May, I forgot to mention them. Wonderful storyline with them. And there's a lot of humor, and then some really things that will just touch your heart. Sorry, I got a message. I got an alert on my phone. I'm sorry. Let's see. Oh, I don't know. I'm giving you a hint into the next episode. I am not giving you a hint into 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm just talking about what comes next. He wanted in on the bromance. I know. I really hope they revisit that. I don't like them being so mean. Maybe if they continue to be so mean with him this year, at the end, I always like to talk, about what it is that we loved or we missed. And I feel like they listen. And I wanna talk about stop being mean to Mike. He's not like a punching bag, right? Yes, they sure do in in a couple different ways. They do. They do come together in a very big way. They really do. But um I just love it because all of those wonderful characters have a storyline. One of my favorites is the conversation between Elizabeth and Nathan. And also one of my favorites is what goes on with the Yosts. Mm. It makes me just say, I wish I saw more of them. Yeah. Let Mike play with the cool kids. He is a cool guy. Maybe they need to be able to play with him. You know what I mean? Like he is. You're right, Carrie. Yeah. And they do come together. All right. Anything else? Anything else? Somebody was asking me about Edie and Lucas and getting physical. They all have their little touches. They touch hands and things and bump up against each other, but a purposeful physical, I think that before that could ever happen, and the writers are not dumb in that sense, but before that could ever happen, there's a lot more that still needs to happen. There's a lot of a conversation and where everything is going needs to happen. So that's my answer to that. All right, everyone. We've been on for 40 some minutes, 45 minutes. I'm going to say good night. I've talked a lot and I've got so much I have to do. I'm just excited for episode 7. I can't wait for you to see it. So many favorites. If you're a Flomo favorite, if you're a Faith favorite, Nathan and Elizabeth, Lucas favorite, Lucas and Edie favorite, Rosemary and Lee, just the town coming together. Henry, oh, I forgot how I even could leave this out. There's also like some dangerous stuff that happens, and some dangerous stuff happens. It's good. It's good storyline. It's good storyline. No one dies. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We should be back to our regular scheduled programming next week. So my Lucas Bouchard podcast will be on Sunday night, and Monday night will be for episode 7 for everything. Someone mentioned that Chris has a movie coming out and they're very excited. It's in March. He is not the only one that has a movie out. So does Kevin McGarry. Kevin was able to tease that it was out, but he said nothing when we talked to him right before Christmas. So we knew that's coming. I don't know when. And Chris, when we talked to Chris last, before we talked to him most recently, he didn't tease it. I don't think he was allowed to say anything. So Kevin usually makes things slip. He at least said that part, but Chris keeps it close. So yeah, we have a Chris movie coming up. I don't know if anyone else has a movie. That would be cool. Maybe we've got some Christmas movies with the rest of the cast. Some of them are busy becoming, mamas and papas, and so who knows. All right, good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and go stay warm, and we'll talk. Bye.